the aging heart, caring for the beat of life. The heart has been with us through it all, every joy, every loss, every breath we've taken across the decades. As we age, this faithful companion begins to show signs of wear, not from weakness, but from a life fully lived. In this special series, The Aging Heart, Caring for the Beat of Life, we explore what it truly means to care for the hearts in our later years. From silent warning signs to daily choices that heal, from emotional well-being to the role of family support, each chapter takes you deeper into the rhythms of aging, resilience, and renewal. This is more than just a health series. It's a journey of understanding, compassion, and honoring the most vital part of who we are. Because when we care for the heart, we care for life itself. The aging heart. What really changes after 60? As we enter our 60s and beyond, the heart, the tireless engine that has quietly supported our entire lives, begins to undergo subtle yet significant changes. These changes don't arrive overnight. They happen gradually, often unnoticed, woven into the fabric of daily life, like the slow fading of a familiar color. Over time, the walls of the heart can thicken slightly, especially in the left ventricle, the part of the heart that pumps oxygen. What was once a flexible and responsive network gradually stiffens, much like an old garden hose left in the sun. As arteries harden, the heart must work harder to push blood through the body. A sudden shock, whether emotional or physical, can have more impact on an older heart. This doesn't mean we must live in fear. It simply means we must learn to live more gently, to honor the body's changing rhythm, and to avoid pushing past signals that once felt minor. This increases blood pressure, and over time, strains the heart muscle. If that pressure isn't detected and managed early, many people live into their 80s and 90s with hearts that remain strong and steady. The key difference is awareness. It means noticing swelling in the ankles, or feeling dizzy when standing. With kindness, attention, and care, it can continue to support your life beautifully. The goal is not to resist aging, but to move with it, to adapt with compassion and knowledge. It means tracking blood pressure, cholesterol, and glucose. Even if you feel fine, it means moving every day, even slowly, because a still body leads to a stiff heart. And it means eating not just to satisfy hunger, but to support this aging but loyal organ. Understanding the natural changes of the heart allows us to act early, adjust our lifestyle, and avoid preventable complications. That's why many seniors are surprised to be diagnosed with high blood pressure, even if they've always lived a healthy lifestyle. It's not a failure, it's simply the biology of aging at work. This thickening makes it harder for the heart to fill properly and pump efficiently. Our heartbeat is guided by a delicate network of electrical impulses, which can slow or become less predictable with age. This is why irregular heartbeats, also known as arrhythmias, become more common in older adults. You might feel your heart flutter, beat too fast, too slow, or out of rhythm. Sometimes it's harmless. Sometimes it's a sign of something more. But in either case, it's your heart's way of asking you to listen more closely. As a result, some people might notice they become winded more easily, or feel more tired even after modest activity. This isn't weakness, it's physiology quietly evolving. It's easy to assume that a few extra beats, a little fatigue, or the occasional shortness of breath are just signs of getting older. But the truth is more complex and more important to understand, because knowing what changes in the heart after 60 can help us care for it with deeper attention and wisdom. One of the first changes is structural. Another change occurs in the blood vessels. Arteries and veins naturally lose their elasticity with age. The electrical system of the heart also begins to shift. Even the way our heart responds to stress changes. When we're young, our heart adapts quickly to physical or emotional strain. But with age, recovery takes longer. It's also important to recognize that aging doesn't always lead to disease. So, what does this mean practically? It means paying attention to breathlessness that didn't exist before. Above all, it means understanding that your heart is not failing you, it is simply aging, like the rest of you, because the heart has always been there for you. And now, in this chapter of life, it is your turn to be there for your heart. Silent causes. What triggers heart disease in seniors? Not all heart disease begins with pain. In fact, most of it begins in silent years, sometimes decades before a diagnosis. For seniors, Understanding what triggers heart disease isn't just about identifying symptoms. It develops quietly and damages the arteries over time, making the heart work harder with every beat. For older adults, high blood pressure may not feel like anything at all, just a number on a screen. But behind the scenes, it can lead to thickened heart walls, reduced oxygen flow, and an increased risk of heart failure or stroke. It's about uncovering the quiet, invisible habits and conditions that slowly shape the health of the heart. Many of these triggers don't make headlines. The body needs motion to keep the heart flexible and efficient. The heart needs the night to recover, to reset its rhythm. When rest is broken, so is recovery. Even light daily walks, stretching, or gardening can make a profound difference. They whisper, they blend into daily life. They grow slowly, and that is why heart disease is often called a slow-burning fire. Not all cholesterol is bad, but when LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, builds up inside arteries, it forms plaques that narrow the blood vessels. Over time, this restricts blood flow to the heart and brain. Chronic, low-level inflammation, driven by poor diet, smoking, pollution, or undiagnosed illness, quietly damages the lining of blood vessels and accelerates aging in the cardiovascular system. It's not a single disease, but a condition that invites many. Chronic stress increases levels of cortisol and adrenaline, which can raise blood pressure, affect sleep, and contribute to inflammation throughout the body. For older adults, ongoing loneliness, grief, or anxiety can quietly deteriorate the heart's resilience. Aging doesn't have to mean surrendering to illness. It can be a season of greater wisdom, deeper self-connection, and better choices. This is why emotional well-being is not separate from heart care. It is central to it. And because this buildup is painless and internal, many people don't know it's happening until it's too late. They live in daily choices, in routines we've accepted as normal, and in the natural aging process itself. High blood sugar damages blood vessels and the nerves that control the heart. Many seniors live with undiagnosed or poorly managed diabetes, unaware that their heart is under constant strain. The risk doubles when diabetes coexists with obesity, inactivity, and stress. One of the most common silent triggers is high blood pressure, often called the silent killer. For a reason. Cholesterol is another quiet contributor. Diabetes, especially type 2, is also a major but often overlooked trigger. Speaking of stress, it may not seem physical, but it's deeply connected to heart health. Another often invisible trigger is physical inactivity. After retirement, many people naturally slow down, but prolonged sitting and reduced movement weaken the heart muscle over time. Sleep problems are a less obvious but serious factor. Poor sleep, whether due to insomnia, sleep apnea, or fragmented rest, has been strongly linked to higher risks of heart disease. Lastly, one of the most under-discussed triggers is inflammation. All of these causes high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, stress, inactivity, sleep issues, and inflammation don't shout. But the beauty of understanding these silent causes is that they can also be silenced through care, routine, lifestyle shifts, and gentle awareness, because the heart listens to how we live, how we move, how we think and feel. And when we listen in return, we give it the best chance to stay strong, quiet, and full of life. Symptoms you shouldn't ignore. Sometimes the heart tries to speak to us, but in older age, its voice isn't always loud. It's subtle, quiet, and easy to dismiss. A little fatigue, a skipped breath, a light dizziness we often tell ourselves. In fact, many are easy to mistake for ordinary tiredness or just having a slow day. If you find that walking to the mailbox, taking a shower, or making a cup of tea leaves you breathless or worn out, it could be your heart struggling to supply enough oxygen to your body. That's why learning to recognize the body's quiet warnings is so important, because early action can prevent serious consequences. It's just aging. But what if it's not just that? What if it's your heart asking for help? When the heart struggles to pump effectively, fluid can accumulate in the lower parts of the body. Some seniors describe it as the heart skipping, racing, or feeling off rhythm. It's easy to blame dehydration or the weather, but if it happens often, your heart might be telling you it needs support. Occasional changes can be harmless, but frequent irregularities should be checked, especially if they're new. The heart and brain are deeply connected. A troubled heart can disturb our peace even before it causes pain. Older women are more likely to experience subtle nausea, jaw pain, or discomfort in the upper back rather than classic chest pain. Because of this, women are often diagnosed later. You've lived long enough to know when something feels off. The earlier you act, the gentler the path can be. The change in how you walk, a heaviness in your chest, a nap that doesn't refresh. These aren't just part of getting older. And when we learn to listen to those whispers, we give ourselves a better chance to grow old with strength, peace, and life. They may be signs of a heart that needs care. Many seniors think it is just water retention or from sitting too long, but it could be something more. In seniors, symptoms of heart disease are not always obvious. You don't need to panic. You don't need to overreact, but you do need to listen. Many seniors with early heart issues describe a tight chest or needing to sleep propped up on pillows to breathe comfortably. This may point to fluid building up in the lungs, a sign of heart failure. One of the most common and overlooked signs is fatigue, not the kind that disappears after a nap, but a deep, ongoing tiredness that makes simple tasks feel exhausting. Instead, it might be pressure, tightness, or a strange heaviness, often confused with indigestion or heartburn. If it happens during activity and eases with rest, don't ignore it. Another symptom to watch for is shortness of breath, especially if it occurs during everyday activities or when lying down. Chest discomfort is also important, but in older adults, it may not feel like sharp pain. You may also notice swelling in the legs, ankles, or feet. Irregular heartbeat or a sense of fluttering in the chest is another signal. Dizziness or lightheadedness, especially when standing up, may point to poor blood flow from the heart. Some seniors even report a vague sense of anxiety, restlessness, or sleep disturbance, not from external worries, but from the body feeling unwell. It's also important to recognize that symptoms may feel different in women. The key message is this: if something feels different, persistent, or unusual, don't ignore it. Your body speaks in small ways. Talk to your doctor, ask questions, get a checkup. Most of all, trust your instincts, because the heart doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. The hidden phase. When disease builds quietly, heart disease rarely begins with a dramatic warning. It often begins in silence with no pain, no clear discomfort, and no sudden collapse. It builds like a quiet tide, slowly rising beneath the surface of daily life. Maybe your ankles swell a little after sitting too long, or you feel short of breath on stairs that once felt easy. High blood pressure quietly damages artery walls. Cholesterol slowly builds plaque that narrows your blood vessels. Blood sugar levels creep higher without causing obvious symptoms. Inflammation, stress, and poor sleep slowly strain your heart night after night. Nothing urgent, nothing loud, but behind the scenes, something may already be unfolding in your heart. Your heart works harder and harder, adjusting to the extra pressure, compensating for weakened blood flow. But compensation isn't a cure, it's your body buying time. And over time, even the strongest heart cannot compensate forever. For many seniors, this phase, the hidden phase, is the most dangerous. In fact, hidden. Let's begin listening not just to symptoms, but to the absence of them. Let's ask, check, and care before discomfort arrives. Let us treat the heart not only when it is in pain, but when it is quiet. Phase is not meant to scare you, it is meant to remind you silence is not the same as safety. Stillness is not always peace. Just because your heart doesn't cry out doesn't mean it doesn't need help. It becomes more powerful with age, because by the time heart disease becomes obvious, treatment becomes more urgent. But when it's found in the quiet stage, change is still possible. Gentle habits like walking, reducing sodium, and when we protect the heart, not just to extend life, but to deepen the quality of life in every breath that follows. Getting restful sleep and managing stress can still reverse early damage or prevent it from becoming worse. In women, it could mean subtle fatigue, disrupted sleep, or vague back or jaw pain that doesn't seem urgent. Both genders are vulnerable, just in different, often misunderstood ways. Not because the symptoms are severe, but because they are so easy to miss. You may feel mostly fine. Maybe you get tired a bit more easily, but you chalk it up to age. This hidden phase can last months, even years. Routine screenings for blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, and body weight. Asking your doctor about your risk factors, even if you have no symptoms. Understanding your family history. Monitoring your breath, your energy, your sleep, your digestion, not with anxiety, but with kindness and curiosity. Heart disease is slow. It adapts. It learns to exist in your normal. That's why being proactive is so critical. It's during this time that heart disease becomes embedded without setting off alarms. In men, the hidden phase might involve years of unnoticed high cholesterol or untreated blood pressure. The hidden phase also explains why many seniors say, after a diagnosis, "But I felt fine." That's the trick. So how can we find what's hidden? Through gentle vigilance, not fear, but awareness, regular checkups. We must also remember that prevention is not only for the young, it's for every age. Because some of the most powerful care happens in silence, when we act before we must, when we love our bodies before they break. Early detection. How to know before it's too late. Catching heart disease early can change everything. It can mean the difference between quiet recovery and sudden crises, between a manageable condition and a life-altering event. But early detection doesn't happen by accident. It happens when we choose to listen to science, to our doctors, and to our bodies. Often, the only sign is no sign at all. That's why routine checkups aren't just a formality, they're a lifeline. Many older adults wait until something feels clearly wrong. But as we've learned, heart disease builds slowly. Even if you feel fine, elevated cholesterol can silently clog arteries over time, leading to heart attack or stroke. Knowing your numbers gives you the power to act early. High blood pressure is one of the most silent but deadly factors for heart disease. Type 2 diabetes can harm your blood vessels without making you feel sick. How often are you out of breath during light activity? Genetics may not determine your fate, but they do guide your focus. If your parents had heart disease, don't wait. Begin the conversation now with your physician, your loved ones, and yourself. Have your sleep patterns changed? Are you more tired than usual? Without reason? Is swelling in your legs happening more frequently? These questions may seem small, but together, they can paint a picture of a heart in need. Left unchecked, it becomes one of the strongest contributors to heart disease in seniors. Love your heart before it cries out, because often, by the time it does, the damage is already underway. A fasting glucose or a 1C test can offer insight and direction. Small changes like improved diet, moderate exercise, reducing sodium, and managing stress can make a huge difference. Medications, if needed, are far more effective when disease is in its early stages. Checking it regularly at the doctor's office or at home can help identify problems before they cause lasting damage. It says, "I care about my future, and I believe my health is worth protecting." One of the most important tools is blood pressure monitoring. Next is cholesterol testing. A simple blood test can reveal your levels of LDL, HDL, and triglycerides. Blood sugar tests, particularly for people at risk of diabetes, are equally critical. They measure the electrical activity of your heart and can detect arrhythmias, silent heart damage, or warning signs of an impending event. Quick, painless, and yet often overlooked until after a crisis. Electrocardiograms are another simple but powerful test. This test can catch early signs of heart valve problems or weakened heart muscles long before symptoms appear. In some cases, doctors may recommend an echocardiogram, a safe ultrasound image of your heart. See how it moves, pumps, and flows. But early detection isn't just about tests. It's also about observation. For those with family history or multiple risk factors, early screening becomes even more vital. The good news, when heart issues are caught early, the path to recovery is often smoother and gentler. Early detection is not just medical, it's personal. It's an act of self-respect. So don't wait for pain. Don't wait for a scare. Act when it's quiet. Ask when it's calm. This chapter of life deserves more than survival, it deserves vitality. And the sooner we start, the better the journey becomes. Natural and medical ways to manage heart disease. Living with heart disease doesn't mean giving up. It means leaning in with care, with knowledge, and with hope. For older adults, Managing heart disease is not about reversing time. It's about protecting what remains strong, healing what can be healed, and adapting with wisdom to what needs support. The good news is, heart disease can be managed, and in many cases, with the right steps, it can be stabilized or even improved. There are two paths that work best when they walk side by side: natural approaches and medical treatment. Together, they form a complete strategy rooted in both science and self. Let's begin with the natural paths, where daily habits become medicine. Poor sleep stresses the heart, raises blood pressure, and limits the body's ability to recover. Create a calming nighttime routine. Avoid heavy meals before bed. Make your room quiet, dark, and cool. Quality sleep is a gift the heart deeply needs. Your doctor may prescribe medications to lower blood pressure, regulate heartbeat, reduce cholesterol, or prevent blood clot. But in reality, neither path alone is enough, but together, they create a rhythm of healing. Attend checkups together. Sometimes, love is the best medicine. They often restore freedom, allowing seniors to live longer and more comfortably. Take them as directed. Never stop on your own, and always report side effects. Earlier treatment can often be adjusted to suit your body's needs. Nutrition is your first ally. A healthy diet doesn't need to be extreme. It needs to be intentional. That means more whole grains like oats and brown rice, lean proteins like fish and tofu, plenty of colorful vegetables, and healthy fats such as olive oil, avocados, and nuts. These foods reduce inflammation, balance cholesterol, and give the heart the nutrients it needs to repair itself. Salt is one of the heart's quiet enemies. Reducing sodium intake even just a little can lower blood pressure significantly. Rest deeply and love generously. Your heart has carried you through so much. Now is the time to return the favor with action, attention, and care. Choose fresh foods over processed. Cook at home when possible, and taste your food before adding salt. Your heart will thank you. Then there's movement. Exercise doesn't have to be intense. Walking, swimming, stretching, or even gentle yoga can strengthen the heart, improve circulation, and lift your mood. Just 30 minutes a day, most days of the week, can create a lasting impact. For seniors, consistency is more important than speed. Sleep is another key to healing. Don't forget the power of stress reduction. Chronic worry tightens arteries, spikes blood pressure, and makes heart conditions worse. Practice slow breathing, prayer, gentle meditation, or time in nature. Talk to a friend. Keep a gratitude journal. These are not luxuries. They are therapies. Now, let's talk about the medical path. When used properly, medication is not a weakness, it's a tool. For some, procedures may be necessary, like angioplasty to open blocked arteries, or pacemakers to help regulate rhythm. These interventions can sound frightening. The most important thing is coordination. Natural approaches work best when supported by medical care, and medical care works best when embraced by healthy living. If you're caring for someone with heart disease, remember, encouragement matters. Celebrate small victories. Help with routines. Living with heart disease in older age is not a sentence, it's a responsibility. A call to live mindfully, eat intentionally, move gently, eat for the heart. Foods that heal and protect. Food is more than fuel. It is language. It speaks to your body, to your heart, and to your long-term health. For seniors living with heart concerns or simply hoping to avoid them, what you put on your plate every day matters more than you might realize. In fact, your kitchen can be your first line of defense. Every meal is a choice between protection and pressure, healing or harm. Just a handful a day can help reduce the risk of heart attack. And the good news is, healing can taste good. These healthy fats lower blood pressure, reduce triglycerides, and decrease the risk of abnormal heart rhythms. If fish isn't part of your routine, consider flax seeds or walnuts for plant-based omega-3 salad. Let's begin with one of the heart's strongest allies, leafy greens, rich in monounsaturated fats. It helps reduce inflammation and improves cholesterol levels. Use it in place of butter or margarine whenever you can. Spinach, kale, collard greens, and arugula are full of vitamin K, which helps protect arteries and improve circulation. Look for varieties with at least 70% cocoa in sugar, high in flavonoids. a small square after dinner. That's self-care, not guilt. Sugary drinks and refined carbs spike blood sugar and increase fat storage. And when cooking, flavor with herbs, garlic, or lemon instead of salt. Trans fats, often found in packaged snacks or baked goods, increase LDL and lower HDL, a dangerous mix for your arteries. They're also high in nitrates, which support healthy blood pressure. These complex carbs help lower cholesterol, stabilize blood sugar, and keep you full without overloading your system. Choosing freshness over convenience, and remembering that every bite is either a step toward disease or a step toward longevity, is your next meal. Unlike white bread or sugary snacks, whole grains support steady energy and a calmer heart. Just a small portion adds fiber, protein, and healthy fats that support vascular health. They help control blood sugar and support weight management, both key factors in heart protection. They're easy to snack on and help replace less healthy processed foods. Add them to soups, salads, or smoothies raw or cooked. They give your heart a green light. Berries are another superstar. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, all packed with antioxidants that fight inflammation and oxidative stress. They're sweet, natural, and heart protective. Then there's whole grains like oats, brown rice, quinoa, and barley. Fatty fish, such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines, are rich in omega-3 fatty acid. Don't forget nuts and seeds, especially almonds, walnuts, and chia seeds. Legumes like lentils, beans, and chickpeas are full of fiber and plant-based protein, making them a fantastic alternative to red meat. When it comes to cooking, olive oil is your friend. Dark chocolate, in moderation, can also benefit the heart. Now, let's talk about what to limit, not to punish yourself, but to protect your future. Processed meats, like bacon and sausages, are high in salt and saturated fats, and too much sodium even from healthy-looking soups or sauces can quietly raise blood pressure over time. Always read labels. Choose low-sodium options. Eating for your heart doesn't mean giving up joy. It means shifting joy to healthier places. It means eating mindfully, not fearfully. As we age, our bodies change, but that doesn't mean surrender. It means adaptation, and the simplest place to start, because food isn't just medicine. It's love served one healthy, healing plate at a time. Hidden dangers on your plate. As we grow older, our meals become more than just moments of satisfaction or routine. They become our medicine, our defense, and sometimes, unknowingly, our greatest risk. Every day, millions of seniors sit down to meals that look simple, comforting, and familiar. Yet hidden within those dishes are silent threats, ingredients, and habits that slowly strain the heart, stiffen the arteries, and invite chronic disease without making a sound. The danger doesn't always lie in fast food or obvious junk. It often hides in the meals we've known and loved for decades. A spoonful too much salt, a sugary drink with lunch, an extra portion at dinner. A snack we were told was light or healthy, but is far from it. These small decisions accumulate, forming patterns that slowly wear down the heart. One of the most common dangers is excessive sodium. Salt is found not only in chips or canned soups, but also in sauces, dressings, processed meats, and even seemingly healthy frozen meals. Over time, too much salt increases blood pressure, damages blood vessels, and forces the heart to work harder than it should. Seniors, especially those with a history of hypertension or kidney disease, are more sensitive to this load end. The effects can be severe. Another hidden threat is added sugar. We often think of sugar as something for kids, but many seniors consume it in coffee creamers, packaged cereals, flavored yogurts, and even store-bought bread. Excess sugar leads to weight gain, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes, all major risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Sugar dust affect your waistline. It creates inflammation throughout the body and accelerates the aging of the blood vessels that nourish the heart. Then there are unhealthy fats, especially trans fats and saturated fats, often found in fried food, baked goods, margarine, fast food, and processed snacks. These fats raise bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol, setting the stage for clogged arteries and heart attacks. What's more troubling is that even when trans fats are banned in many countries, some products still contain them in small amounts through partially hydrogenated oils. For seniors who rely on convenience foods, this creates a hidden, daily exposure. Portion size is another silent saboteur. Many older adults continue to eat the same quantities they did in their 40s or 50s, not realizing their metabolic needs have changed. Overeating, even with healthy food, puts unnecessary pressure on the digestive system and causes spikes in blood sugar and blood pressure, especially after large meals. Digestive discomfort, bloating, and fatigue are early signs. The body is struggling to keep up. Eating late at night, skipping breakfast, or emotional eating can all contribute to a chaotic internal rhythm that disrupts cardiovascular balance. Beyond the ingredients themselves, how we eat matters too. Rushing meals, not chewing properly, eating while distracted. These behaviors reduce the quality of digestion and limit the body's ability to absorb nutrients. And when the body doesn't get what it needs, the heart suffers. A heart that works all day, every day, deserves food that heals, not harms. But this doesn't mean food should become a source of fear or guilt. The goal is not to label food as good or bad, but to grow more aware, to know that the plate in front of you can either weaken or strengthen your heart, depending on what you choose to put there. Empowerment begins with knowledge. Seniors and their families can make practical, gentle adjustments that restore balance. Start by reading labels, look for hidden sugars, excessive sodium, and artificial ingredients. Cook more at home when possible, using whole, fresh ingredients. 2. Steaming or baking over frying. Replace processed meats with lean proteins like fish, tofu, or beans. Add more greens, whole grains, and heart-healthy oils like olive oil. Drink more water and limit sugary beverages. Eat smaller portions more frequently instead of overwhelming your system in one sitting. And just as important, eat mindfully. Sit down, breathe, chew, savor. Give your body the time and calm it needs to process the nourishment you're giving it. For caregivers, help your loved ones adjust their environment. Organize the pantry with healthy choices. Plan meals together. Offer gentle reminders without pressure or blame. Encourage progress, not perfection. The aging heart does not need a radical diet. It needs consistency, kindness, and awareness. Every meal is a chance to heal. Every bite is a message to the body, either one of care or neglect. And even small changes over time can rebuild strength and vitality. What ends up on the plate each day may seem small, but in the story of our health, it writes a powerful chapter. Let your meals reflect what you value most: life, connection, and the desire to live well, not just long. Because in the end, the greatest gift we can give our hearts is not found in pills or surgeries, but in the quiet, daily choices we make at the table. A Family Matter, supporting seniors with heart disease. Heart disease in seniors is not just a medical diagnosis, it is a turning point in the life of a person and their entire family. When an older adult is diagnosed with a heart condition, it's not only their body that must adjust, but also their daily habits, emotional well-being, and sense of independence. In these moments, family members become an essential part of the healing journey, not only offering practical support, but emotional safety and companionship. Understanding how heart disease affects seniors requires empathy. Older adults may experience fatigue, shortness of breath, dizziness, and limitations in activities they once enjoyed freely. But beyond the physical symptoms, many also feel a deep sense of loss of control, of confidence, and even of identity. They may feel like a burden, afraid to ask for help, or ashamed of their condition. This is where family plays a crucial role, not as caretakers alone, but as companions who lift the emotional weight of illness. Supporting a senior with heart disease begins with listening. Not just listening to their symptoms, but to their fears, their frustrations, and their hopes. Ask how they feel, not just how their heart feels, but how their spirit is holding up. Make space for their stories, their memories, and their need to be heard. Sometimes, a simple conversation over tea can do more for the heart than any prescription. Practically, families can support seniors by helping them stay consistent with treatment. This includes reminding them to take medications, assisting with doctor appointments, managing dietary needs, and encouraging physical activity appropriate for their condition. Create a calm and organized environment. Keep medication visible and labeled clearly. Help prepare heart-healthy meals at home and join them in eating those meals to model solidarity. Encourage light movement, gentle walks, stretching, or simple balance exercises, making physical activity a shared family habit rather than a lonely task. Emotional support is just as critical. Many seniors face depression or anxiety after a diagnosis. They may fear worsening symptoms, sudden health events, or the impact on their family. Reassure them often they are still valuable, still needed, still deeply loved. Celebrate small victories: on improvement in blood pressure, a successful week of healthy eating, a positive medical update. These moments of encouragement can reignite motivation and restore a sense of agency. Communication within the family is key. Involve everyone, not just one caregiver. Share responsibilities, if possible, and discuss openly what is working and what needs adjustment. Avoid blame or frustration. Remember that caregiving is a process, not a performance. And caring for someone with heart disease is not about doing everything perfectly, but about showing up with patience and love. Don't forget to care for yourself, too. Supporting a senior loved one can be emotionally and physically taxing. Take time to rest, recharge, and ask for help when needed. Your own well-being directly influences the quality of care you can give. Involve healthcare providers as partners, and don't hesitate to ask questions or request guidance. Social support beyond the family is also valuable. Community centers, local health groups, or online support forums for caregivers can provide resources, tips, and reassurance that you're not alone in this journey. Finally, never underestimate the power of presence. You don't always need to fix something. Sometimes, just being there, sitting quietly, holding a hand, watching a show together, or sharing a meal is the most healing act of all. Heart disease may change the path a family walks together, but it also creates new opportunities for closeness, for connection, and for deeper love. It teaches us to slow down, to prioritize what matters, and to cherish each other more fiercely. At its core, healing the heart is never an individual task. It is a shared experience, a quiet partnership between those who need care and those who offer it with open arms. When families walk hand in hand with their elderly loved ones, they do more than support. They strengthen the spirit, ease the fear, and remind us all that we were never meant to go through life alone. A heartfelt reminder, lessons from the golden years. There comes a time in life when we begin to look back more than we look ahead, not because the road ahead is any less meaningful, but because the years behind us are filled with experiences that have shaped who we are. The ambition, the striving, the noise of more, faster, bigger begins to soften. In its place grows something far more valuable: on appreciation for stillness, for simplicity, for connection. The golden years remind us that the heart is not just a muscle that pumps blood, it is the center of emotion, memory, and meaning. We all need each other. The strongest hearts are not the ones that beat alone, but the ones that love and are loved in return. In many ways, the golden years are a kind of second adulthood, one with less pressure but more depth, less noise but more insight. In this stage, the body may be slower, but the heart is often wiser. It knows what truly matters: relationships, kindness, integrity, purpose, and it whispers, gently but firmly, that it's never too late to change, to heal, or to begin again. Let the golden years not be a time of decline, but a time of deepening. Let your heart be not just protected, but honored, and let your life, at every age, be lived with purpose, with care, and with peace. Accepting help, asking for company, sharing meals or memories, these are not signs of weakness, but signs of wisdom. For your body, yes, but also for your soul. You do not need to wait until you're 60 or 70 to live wisely. You can begin now. The wisdom of the golden years is not reserved only for those who earn the silver in their hair. It is a gift we can all receive if we are willing to listen. Eat with awareness, but also with joy. Move with intention, but also with freedom. And in the final analysis, a strong heart is not just one that beats longer, but one that lives fuller. Rest, not just to recover, but to reconnect with stillness. Speak kindly, listen often, and don't rush through the moments that matter. Surround yourself with those who see your worth not despite your age, but because of it. And for families, the golden years offer one of the most sacred opportunities to show up for those who once showed up for us. And in caring for it, we are not just extending life, we are enriching it. Taught us what matters and quietly offered lessons that we may only truly begin to understand in the later chapters of life. A daily rhythm of choosing nourishment over convenience, movement over stagnation, presence over distraction, because anger and regret weigh heavily on the heart not just emotionally, but physically. Bitterness, like cholesterol, builds up over time, but so does love. Compassion strengthens resilience. Gratitude softens the arteries of the soul. We begin to see how stress quietly wore down our bodies, how loneliness can ache deeper than art, how laughter with loved ones might be the most potent medicine of all. These years teach us to value prevention, not only cure, that a walk in the morning sun, a bowl of fresh vegetables, a good night's sleep, or a moment of deep breathing might protect the heart more powerfully than we ever realized. The golden years are not just a stage of aging, they are a season of clarity, reflection, and often of quiet wisdom. And perhaps one of the deepest truths that emerges from this season is how closely our health, especially our heart health, is tied not only to what we eat or how we move, but to how we live, how we love, and how we care for ourselves and others. As we age, the rush of earlier years fades. We learn that health is not a destination, but a practice. The lessons of the golden years are also spiritual. They remind us to forgive more quickly, to let go of resentment, to prioritize peace over pride. Another lesson that often becomes clear is this: independence is valuable, but interdependence is essential. We also learn that aging does not mean fading, it means shifting, becoming. So, what is the final lesson from the golden years, especially for those navigating heart health? It is this: care deeply, and if you're younger, listening to the stories and wisdom of those who've walked ahead, take their lessons to heart. The heart is not just a physical organ. It is where we hold courage, connection, memory, and meaning. So, as this journey through heart health comes to a close, let us carry forward the real medicine: awareness, simplicity, compassion, and love. And so, we come to the end of our journey, but not the end of care. The aging heart, though slower and softer, is still full of strength, full of memory, and full of love. It beats with the wisdom of time, the depth of experience, and the quiet hope that every day still holds something beautiful. In these chapters, we've learned that heart health is not just about medicine or diet, it's about living with intention, with connection, and with compassion. Whether you're caring for your own heart or the hearts of someone you love, every small act of attention, kindness, and understanding becomes part of the healing. Thank you for walking with us through this journey. May your heart stay strong, your spirit stay light, and your days be filled with moments that truly matter. Because no matter our age, the heart still deserves to be heard, to be cared for, and to be cherished.
Hi, my name is Tiên, and I am the creator of Nourish Breathe. This video just AI, voice and visual, based on content editing work created by me. It made the truth clear, thoughtful, helpful message for all the others.